Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is just going to be a quick little video, really just a review about my favorite book so far this year, my first 5-star read for this year, and that is Bad Blood by John Carreyrou. This is the story of Elizabeth Holmes and the Theranos Company. If you're not familiar with any of it, never heard about it, Elizabeth Holmes was or is a young woman at the time of at the beginning of this story. She was a 20-ish, somewhere around her 20s, entrepreneur who decided to start a company called Theranos. She claimed she had a new way, an easier way, faster way, cheaper way to analyze blood samples. Her idea was to only use a pinprick like on her finger and draw just a few drops of blood and be able to use that tiny sample to test a plethora of things in your blood. So either it could be a disease like Zika or herpes, or it could be like your cholesterol level or how much potassium you have. And this was going to be major cutting edge science, technology, medical advancement, because still, if you've ever had your blood drawn because you needed to get tests, usually you have to go in, they take it out of your arm somewhere, and they have to draw quite a few vials, so it takes a little while. They take quite a bit of blood depending on how many tests you need, and it's just a big process. You have to send it to a lab, and it's going to take a long time. And she also, along with only using a few drops of blood, she was going to have a system be able to analyze the blood immediately. And the whole thing turned out to be a giant scam. And now thinking back on it, I think people are like, why weren't we more skeptical of this, for numbers of reasons? But she ended up having just millions and millions of investors. She herself became the first female billionaire, self-made billionaire ever. And at one point her net worth was estimated at over $5 billion. And so the company started in mid or late 2000s, and it all came to a crashing halt in about 2015, around there. And basically by this expose by the author of this book, John Carreyrou, when he wrote an article based on testimony and emails and all of that kind of stuff from former employees. And the whole story is just incredible. It's incredible because the book itself is so interesting. The way that it's written is so fluid, and it's, there's a nice timeline, but it feels like you are practically reading fiction, because everything about it is so bizarre and hard to believe. It's detailed, but not too much. There is quite a bit of information about blood draws and what that looks like, how that's done, how the technology just was not where she needed it to be. That part maybe is a bit tedious, but I found that super fascinating. She didn't only hoodwink just regular investors. She had major companies like Walgreens who were ready and were testing some of these products that she created in their stores. And everything about it is just insane, really. I don't know how people, and she has no credentials. She was a college dropout, but yet people were willing to take her word for it. That type of charisma, one, is scary. And two, how did so many people fall for it? How did so many people get on board with this? I mean, major people, throughout the whole story, you will hear names that you recognize. She was being called the female Steve Jobs, and she, was so, she got all these awards and prestigious, accolades. President Obama even gave her something. And I mean, so she was well known, and now she's basically being charged with fraud and could maybe go to prison. It's just baffling, the whole story. And not just the fact that it was all a lie, but just the way the company was run. When you read these, basically the testimonies and the emails of the former employees, it's just incredible. It really is. I highly, highly recommend this if you're interested in true crime, basically, if you're interested in people's stories, true life stories, if you are interested in medical engineering, if you're interested in Silicon Valley and the startup world and what that looks like, it's, talked about quite a bit. And I love this. I loved everything about it. I mean, outside of the fact that it is a sad story, because this could have been revolutionary to the medical field and the way we're treated in healthcare in general. I mean, maybe one day the technology will be there. Just right now it's not, and it's sad that, it kind of happened the way that it did. Sure makes for a really interesting expose to read. If you've read it, let me know how you feel about it. If you've heard about it, I'd love to chat about it in the comments. I'm just slightly obsessed about this story. I listened to the audiobook in one day. I mean, it's over 12 hours, but I could not stop listening to it. I stayed up till 2 a.m, which I never do because I have young kids and life. But I loved it. It was awesome. I really, really can't sing its praises enough. And I'll be interested to watch where Elizabeth Holmes goes in the future. I know she was, some of it is she is not allowed to be involved with something for a certain amount of time, but that doesn't always mean anything, because someone like her and her personality, I just don't think she's going to sit back and sort of go into retirement. I think we're going to see more from Elizabeth Holmes in the future. I don't know in what capacity, but I don't know. I mean, unless she has to go to prison for a really long time, but who knows? I guess that's really it. And I will talk to you later. Bye.